Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 2016 Industry Showcase at the CDM. How's everyone feeling tonight? Good? Come on, come on. Great. So my name is Tori, and I'm an interactive content creator and digital storyteller.
My name's Ronald, and I'm a full-stack programmer.
And we're excited to be here today as the student representatives for our cohort. So for those of you who are familiar with the showcase and the program are likely familiar with the interesting, engaging, and interactive projects that come out of the CDM. For those of you who aren't so familiar, it's a pleasure to be up here and share with you a little bit about the MDM program. So the people that you'll see present shortly and the people you speak with in the hangar later on make up a very diverse group. So we have different backgrounds, different cultures, different languages, and different skills. But we do share a few things. Sometimes our favorite food or the occasional game of Mortal Kombat in the lobby. But ultimately, what we share is a desire and interest to collaborate. Right, Ron?
Yep.
So in the past year, we've developed VR projects, thought-provoking games, interactive experiences, and apps that are all about having fun. And although these projects are made up of little, smaller teams from within the cohort, I really say we developed because everyone in the program has a part to play. Whether that's offering feedback during dailies or stopping by project rooms to do user testing or just bounce off ideas, or meeting in the communal area, which is at the heart of the CDM, to just share what we're working on. The cohort, our cohort, is really all about teamwork and collaboration.
I agree. So I can't speak for everyone, but the MDM program really has given me a lot of opportunities to explore a lot of different roles and responsibilities. A lot of us come into the program with different backgrounds, programmers, designers, artists, project managers, and we come out of this program knowing a little bit more about what everyone else does around them. And through our strengths, our weaknesses, our trials and tribulations, every story is unique and no two are alike. So I encourage you not to only watch these presentations, but come meet the cohort later in the hangar. Thank you.
Thank you.
So my name is Jeanette Kopak. I'm the Associate Director of the MDM program. I was hired 10 years ago on a one-year contract to get the program up and running, and I got addicted to working with these students, and I've been here ever since. It is my pleasure and privilege to work with these guys. They're just quite amazing. I'm also going to give you a bit of context for what you're going to see, because it will appear a bit random. We started doing these showcases to give you this taste of what we do, because we're not a portfolio school. People come into this program with portfolios. They're artists, they're programmers, they're project managers, they're paleontologists, you name it, and they come from all these different backgrounds. So what we do is we bring them together as teams, and they learn from each other, and they do these amazing projects. The first day they get here, which what we call week 0, they crowd surf. And if you think about what crowd surfing is it's support, it's movement, there's a whole bunch of trust involved. That's their first day. Their first weekend is what happens next.
Where is my team? Okay, there we go.
Hello, everyone. We're really happy to be here and share with you what it was our very first project here at the CDM. We are Nicolas, Jan, Taka, Zoe, and Jesus. So this project happened in the very first week of the master's program here at the CDM. It's a 48-hour design jam, and we were given a challenge to create an interactive digital media artifact by taking inspiration from this picture. Now, coming up with ideas to create something out of this picture was really easy. Everyone had ideas, but we are all from different backgrounds and from different cultures. Japan, China, Venezuela, Colombia.
Olympic Village.
And we are all different skills too. We are artists, designers, programmers, project managers. And the real challenge is how do you combine all those ideas and the skills of a bunch of people that you just met to create a prototype that is capable of further development. We wanted to share this project today because we consider it a very important milestone here at CDM. It teaches you the lessons, it gives you a glimpse of the lessons that you will see not only in CDM but also in any digital media project. you have to learn to work lean in a collaborative environment. And by lean, we mean you have to know your strengths, your weaknesses, you have to take risks, and check your ego at the door and just create cool stuff together. We perhaps didn't solve a real world problem. We created a game. We solved entertainment. But we face challenges that anyone can have in any digital media production pipeline.
Thank you. So we kick off this design jam with a brainstorming session, and in the next 48 hours, we successfully create 3 different prototypes and deliver Spinning Hero at the end. Even though it's just a game jam project, we still learned a lot from it. We were first introduced the concept of prototyping, especially rapid prototyping. This tool really helped us visualize our concepts and help us iterate those concepts during the productions. And to make the most use of those prototypes is to put them into test. We literally grab random person in the hallway to our project room, just test our prototypes and give us feedback. They really help us moving forward fast during the weekend we're doing the production. And all those tools were tested so many times through our MDM years, and we're still using them until today.
And as Jesus mentioned before, we get inspiration from the picture and came out of the 2D in a really short time. And we learn the great value of iteration of when we face the challenge of not using the Disney IP.
So through this design jam, we learned 3 values that would really define our experience here in the MDM program for months to come. We took risks, we prototyped, iterated, user tested, taking risks with our ideas, pushing them as far as we can. Because as long as you have a set of rules of play with your teammates, you can really do anything with them. Get feedback early and as fast as possible, because the faster you fail, the faster you can go back to your team and collaborate, share, and align your vision. And this is what happened with us. We aligned our vision from different backgrounds we aligned to make Spinning Hero. So without further ado, I would like to introduce you now to our trailer. Thank you so much. We're Spinning Hero and we'll be in the hangar. Please approach us if you'd like to test out the prototype. Thank you.
So that was the first weekend, the beginning of the first term. They then go on, 65% of our curriculum is projects. So in the first term, they take game design, they take projects 1, which is building digital artifacts, and they take foundations. But a good chunk of their time is building things for the rest of the year. So we had a really hard time choosing which of these projects to show you. So we chose 2 from 2 different ends of the spectrum from projects 1. The first one is Heal 5, and you'll see that it's different than the last one you saw.
Thank you, Jeanette. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for being here. I'm going to start off this presentation with a quick question for all of you. How many of you find that after working on a long day on computers or any kind of programs, your hands really seem to hurt? Almost everyone. So we took inspiration from you and everybody else that has that hand pain. And with that in mind, we created Heal 5. But before I show you what it is, I'm going to introduce our team. We have Becky and Spencer, Leanne and Nick, and I'm Jordan. I worked with Leanne to create the UI, the color scheme, and the font selection. And now Spencer for the problem.
Hello, as Jordan mentioned, I'm Spencer. I was the project manager for Heal 5. The Heal 5 team was formed to solve a very specific problem, and it was a problem we saw in our friends, our colleagues, and especially in our family. If you have osteoarthritis in your hands, everyday tasks can be painful and frustrating. And medicine can help, but so can exercise. These exercises can be painful and frustrating to do, though, so we wanted to motivate our users to continue doing the exercises for their health. And Leanne can talk a little bit about what we built.
Hi, I'm Leanne, and I helped design the user interface with Jordan. And what you see here is an example of our tablet application we developed. Tablet application. And our aim was to help osteoarthritis sufferers through their hand exercises in an interactive experience. By using the multi-touch on the iPad, we were able to create a proof of concept to combat the damaging effects of osteoarthritis. And now Nick will talk about our personas.
Thanks, Leanne. So we created these personas of Teresa and Dr. Grayson in order to align our vision towards osteoarthritis sufferers and rheumatologists. Rheumatologists are joint doctors. What's important to understand about Heal 5 is that it doesn't replace medication nor a visit to your doctor. Rather, it helps do the exercises that osteoarthritis sufferers need to do. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Teresa and Dr. Grayson.
Age is no reason not to be passionate about your work and family. Osteoarthritis can be debilitating and make everyday tasks painful and frustrating. This condition keeps thousands of Canadians from continuing a normal, healthy lifestyle. Medication can help with pain, but there are other ways to work through your condition. There's lots of ways to help with your arthritis, to increase your range of motion and the flexibility of your fingers. The Heal 5 hand exercise application is here to help. The interactive experience walks you through exercises to help with your arthritis. This will start to alleviate your hand pain and let you experience life to the fullest.
And here's Becky.
Thanks, Nico. Hi everyone, my name is Becky. I'm the programmer of Heal 5. As for the challenges we faced as a team during the development of this application, we found that we need to change our user behavior in a simple manner. Since the finger exercises we chose to develop required our users to have a sustained finger contact with the tablet screen, which is different from the common interaction methods like typing or swiping. So we had to find a way to do that. As well, we were developing this with an older audience in our mind and were very concerned in making it too text heavy. Now I'll pass it to Spencer to talk about our solutions.
So as Becky mentioned, one of the biggest issues that the Heal 5 team had to tackle was changing user behavior. So for us, we wanted to do this one exercise that needed you to have 5 fingers on the screen at all time. And our users did not take naturally to this experience. It's very different from how you're expected to use a tablet. So we had to rapidly prototype and go through multiple iterations both on paper and digitally before we landed on the user interface that you saw in the video. And our users really started to take to it. And now I'll pass over to Nick for our closing remarks.
Thanks, Spencer. So the final vision for Heal 5 included many exercises to combat osteoarthritis. However, the scope of this project was only 10 weeks, so what we were able to do was to prototype one of these exercises into a workable prototype that could be presented to arthritis associations around Canada or anybody that is interested. So if you're interested in trying Heal 5, please approach any one of our members and we will let you demo it. Thank you so much and have a great rest of the showcase.
Thanks. So that was a project from what we call Projects 1 or DMED 520. Our next team up is actually from this is a project from the same course, but you will see that they've approached it from a very different way.
Do you like mysteries? I know I do. Ever since I was a kid, I used to love reading mysteries. Remember how Sherlock Holmes used to make us feel like a detective? Are you curious why I'm talking to you like this? I feel curiosity is one of the most driven human emotions. And it may be about different things, but each of us has it. I was fortunate to meet like-minded people here at CDM who not only loved a good mystery, but wanted to create an experience more immersive than reading a book. And when these talented people brought their own expertise to our venture, Wiped was born. So that's a short glimpse into Vibed, a narrative-driven 3D first-person exploration game made by our team, the Glacians. Our team consists of Diptaman, Mohsen, Lillian, Zoe, and Amapeksha. We went through a rather interesting process throughout our project, where we did multiple iterations of prototyping, user testing our story and navigation, and implementing all that feedback to reach the final version of our game. At the end of the project, we hosted a successful demo where our game was really well received by our audience. So we went ahead and posted it online, where a few hundred people tried our game and posted some great comments and playthrough videos. So if you'd like to know more about it or check it out, please do come find us at the showcase floor. I'm very close to the bar. Thank you so much for your time. We hope you have a great evening.
So that's the first term. There are literally dozens more projects you can go check out in the hangar from the first term. There's some really cool ones from game design, and there's even more from Projects One. They're very interactive, and you can actually have some fun playing with them. But the second term, they actually are all assigned to work on industry projects. Industry projects are with our partners. We have many industry partners, and they can be very traumatic for our poor students because A, they don't get to pick their own teams. Right, guys? There's a lot of alumni out here who are going, oh, yeah, I remember that. You don't get to pick your own team, which is scary. We put you on what we think is an appropriate project, and you don't have a clue what project you're going to work on till the day you show up after January. Your first day back after January, you get assigned to a project team. However, it's an amazing experience, and all that rapid prototyping and actually learning how to produce in the first term, they get to apply to the second term. So our first project actually, Apeksha's back. Our first project we're going to show you from that term, and this is again one of only 10 projects from that term, is from one of our long-term partners, Roadhouse Interactive.
Thank you, Jeanette. So, we are Team Poker Face, and we are here to present to you today Poker Saloon, which is a VR game developed in conjunction with Roadhouse Interactive and the Center for Digital Media. This is Team Poker Face. I'm Hunter. This is Leanne, Billin, Apeksha, and our programmer is Jacob, but he couldn't make the morning commute from Denmark. So anyway, getting into the problem statement, we had to address a lot of the same design issues that developers of VR are facing in today's world. We also had to develop this game for multiple VR platforms, the HTC Vive, the Oculus Rift, and the Samsung Gear VR, each of which had different technical specs and different control schemes. But before we get too in-depth, we have a brief concept trailer to show you.
At first, we considered multiplayer to be a big technical challenge for us. But thanks to a Unity plugin that we found, things went rather smoothly. Since reading people is such an integral part of the social poker experience, and we couldn't really simulate facial expressions in VR, we created dog avatars in line with our theme of dogs playing poker and tracked the users' headsets. This allowed players in-game to have some sort of social cue when their opponent was looking at their cards or at their chips. It was also a fun social experiment when we tested it out. Designing for multiple VR platforms was a big challenge for us because of the different input schemes. How do you define a uniform interface when everyone interacts with it differently? We solved these problems by creating multiple physical prototypes and doing user tests before technically implementing them to save time and effort. This really helped us understand different user behaviors and narrow down on a user experience, developing an interface that worked for them all.
For our theme, we wanted to go with a more fantastical approach. As Apeksha had mentioned, we were inspired by C.M. Coolidge's paintings of dogs playing poker. So we created dog avatars within a saloon environment. which allowed us to create a unique user interface. This really helped us turn our limitation of not being able to simulate facial expressions to our advantage in creating a fun social experience.
In summary, you can all imagine the programming bottlenecks we have run into and the challenges of multitasking. However, we overcame these challenges by distributing program work to the team directly. I'm so proud we accomplished these features as a team. So before we close, I'd like to show you how much fun we had with our layout.
Thank you so much for coming to see this presentation, but if you have any questions about Poker Saloon, feel free to approach us on the showcase floor. Thank you very much.
Thanks. We were trying to figure out how we could actually get a VR set up. It's too hard on the hangar floor, but we're trying to figure out how we could do it next year. The Vive is really hard to set up to just in a random way, and having an Oculus with a Kinect set up in a random way is also difficult. But next year, maybe, right, Mark? So that was one sort of area, one of 10 that we did. The other, so we call them industry projects, but many of our partners are actually not in industry. So we were lucky to work with SFU last year, and we had another, and we've worked with UBC, and we've worked with nonprofits, and we have a really good working relationship with museums right now. For the last 2 years, we've been working on some very successful projects with the Vancouver Maritime Museum, and this year was no exception. So take it away.
I will tell you a story, one that I heard when I was young.
Good afternoon. I'm Ronald. This is Jason, Esteban, and Melody, and we're Team Keelak. We also had a guest programmer from UBC that is not with us today. So for our project, we had 3 unique opportunities that we had. For the first one, like Jeanette mentioned, this is for Vancouver Maritime Museum. So that meant when this goes into the museum later this summer, all the staff needed to do to run our exhibition was to hit the power button in the morning. The second, being the third collaboration between CDM and the Maritime Museum, this meant that we could set the bar that much higher for the museum. And lastly, this was not just an interactive experience. This had a story component as well. And the story needed to be aimed at children ages 9 to 12. So all the design, visuals, and the storylines had to be designed with those users in mind.
That's right. We had 3 main points that we needed to convey to our audience. The first was to show the story of Ulaktuk, which is the myth of the constellation of Orion for the Inuit people or culture near the North Pole. The second was to show Polaris, or the North Star, and how it is the anchor point for all the stars in the northern hemisphere. And the third was how the Big Dipper points to the North Star and circulates around it during the night. All of these were important star navigation learning points.
To convey these 3 points, we divided our installation into 3 pieces. The first piece was the animation wall. The animation wall contained the story of Ulaktuk through handcrafted animation. The second part was the interactive wall. The interactive wall contained 2 pieces. The first piece was a display of the night sky with the North Star centered. And the second piece was a globe that, when rotated, would allow the stars to rotate around the North Star. And the third piece was a telescope with a hologram inside. When you look through the telescope, the hologram would display more information on the interactive wall. That telescope was encapsulated by the globe to make one interactive piece.
Early on, we really made sure that we knew the exact dimensions of the space that we will eventually occupy in the museum. So we went in with some measuring tape, created a 3D visualization so that we could see exactly what the users will experience before we even built anything.
What we're showing right now on the big screen is just a prototype we made at school. So talking about the UI design of this installation, we have to fit in enough information in very limited space, which means it has to be clean, crisp, and also appealing to our target audience. The LED light will lead audience attention from the animation wall to the interactive wall. Also, the totem of the polar bear will appear again on the interactive wall as well. So these two walls has to be operated independently, but together they create the cohesiveness of this installation.
We will have a miniature version of this installation in the hangar, and the full experience will be at the Vancouver Maritime Museum later this summer. Thank you very much.
So that was the end of their second term. So they finished that up mid-April. All 10 projects were very successful, and you can go and talk to them on the hangar floor about what a great experience it was. It's actually quite fun because we've had alumni come back in the last little while as our clients, which is really kind of fun because it's they know the tricks. So that was kind of cool last term. Then next term, which is the one that's just started in May, we continue to do industry projects, but we also allow students to pitch us on their own ideas and their own potential products and their own potential companies. As you know, we've had several companies that have spun off out of the CDM, and I am pretty sure that the next two will be the next two successful ones. And to start off, we'll get Walkies to tell you what they're going to do.
Thanks, Jeanette. So good afternoon, everyone. We're really excited to be here today to share with you an interesting project, Walkies. Here's the amazing team. We have Taka, our tech lead, Sarah, our software developer, Tianyi, UI UX designer, and I'm Joyce, the product and project manager. So Walkie is a wearable toy for toddlers that makes walking fun. It can be attached to the shoes and is controlled through a mobile app. It encouraged kids to walk more by giving sound as feedback for each of the steps they take. It can also detect different feet motions and trigger different sounds accordingly. Walkies help kids with their motor and intellectual development. And more importantly, they make both the parents and kids happier. We got our product inspiration from the traditional squeaky shoes. As you can see, the kids are really happy and they looks really cute on those shoes. So what we're trying to do is to create a digital innovation of the traditional squeaky shoes and bring the happy experience to next level. So these are the features we aim to deliver by end of this term into our latest minimal viable product. Our biggest goal is to make it as small as possible and can be comfortably attached to the kids' shoes. And we have already shrunk it down from the previous iteration, and the size is actually amazingly small now. And we have also implemented the sound on and off feature because we find one of the drawbacks of the traditional squeaky shoes is that sometimes the parents may find it's annoying and disturbing others. So we give them the option to switch it off. We have also implemented the changing sound features. Here we have Tianyi demonstrated. And also, we have implemented the sequential sounds like A, B, C, D. So that way, the experience will be more engaging, and it will help the kids to learn some simple musical notes. And in the coming weeks, we also aim to implement the motion detection, which can detect different feet movements like heel, toe, kick, or step. and trigger different sounds accordingly.
Thank you. So our main challenges for going into the semester were, number one, figuring out how to make a more cost-effective prototype and a product that we can offer to our consumers, as well as making it more compact and smaller. And our first solution was to use 3D printing throughout our rapid prototyping stage, which drastically reduced our costs. And also, Taka over here has designed a lot of machinery necessary to actually make the circuitry. So he's made us a reflow oven, and it's, again, drastically reduced our cost, as well as he redesigned the PCB little circuit board for us, and it's now, I believe, at least like half the size now. So if any of you would like to come see our current prototype, we'll have it over in a station in the hangar, and we'd love to see you and talk to you more about it. So thank you very much for having us today.
Yeah, you've got to check out Taka's oven. It's actually quite cool. They literally took a toaster oven to make some chips, and you can actually play with the shoes, and it's quite a remarkable thing that they've done in 6 weeks. Those shoes literally have been made in 6 weeks, the little squeaky things. So finally, and last but not least, our last pitch project is, I'll let them pronounce their name. It is a product that's actually based on one of the foundations of this program, which is community and collaboration and making the world a better place. So without further ado, the Q people.
What if you owned one of everything in the world? That's a pretty lofty question, right? Here's another one. What if there were a way to simultaneously do all of these things? Free yourself from your stuff, make a connection to the people around you, do something new, and have an adventure without spending a fortune or even actually traveling that far. Sounds lofty, right? Welcome to Coop. In the next few minutes, I'm going to tell you how that can become a reality. So first thing, a show of hands. I know this may not apply to everyone because we do live in Vancouver and space is at a premium, but let's just see. How many of you have a space in your home that looks like this? Right. How many of you find that things tend to accumulate there and don't get used as often as they should? Yes. How many of you have ever been annoyed by that? Yeah. So now raise your hand for me this time only if you can name for me with 100% accuracy everything that's in that space of yours. Aha. So those of you who have your hands down, which is everyone, you're not alone, obviously, and you are who we're building this app for. So we can all see what the problem is, right? We're drowning in stuff. Everybody has too many things, and they're things that are not providing us happiness, things not contributing to our lives in any meaningful way, things not generating value or revenue, things, in short, not living up to their thingy potential. So the solution is Coop. It's a community that connects people around that intersection of needing and wanting, having and doing. And to be more specific, it's a mobile and web platform that will allow people to post cool things that they own for rent to their neighbors. But we're not just a shared economy platform for stuff, okay? We want to make people's lives more interesting, more free, more fun, more connected, just generally better. Now, there are a few people in this space who are working on this already. That's good news for us because it allows us to see what our competitors have done and do something different. It's also good news in that it lets us know that we're onto a real problem and that needs a solution. So here are a few of the things that we're going to do differently. First of all, this is very cool. We're working on a proprietary algorithm that will scrape pricing data from area merchants and allow us to suggest rental pricing in real time. Our in-app rating system will be dovetailed with our insurance. That will allow us to offer a high degree of user protection. What that means is that you'll never have to worry about people breaking your stuff or you breaking someone else's stuff. We'll have you covered there. Lastly, we'll use image recognition to make it very slick and easy for lenders to post their stuff. You'll be able to point your phone, take a picture, and Coop will do the rest. So as you can see, we're dreaming very big with where this can go. And now I'd like to introduce you to the team of people who are creating this. Welcome to Coop. This is Zishan, Amanda, Vijay, and I'm Angela. We're also working with some fabulous advisors, Jeanette Kopak, Dr. Richard Smith, Ryan Peterson, and Adam Bulliet. So you can go online right now, coop.com. Right now, it's just an email entry form, but do go ahead and sign up so you can become part of our mailing list. We can let you know when things start to heat up, and you can become one of our early adopters. We also do have a prototype for you to try. Now, this is not live yet, but we have it right here today at the CDM for you to try next door. So please do come and check us out at our booth, which looks like this. And so there's a lot of different things that we'd like to talk to you about. Things like who our users are. They're hip, they're savvy, they're urban. And this is a worldwide problem. We know because we're from all over the place. Pakistan, China, India, and I'm from the US. So that represents about 45% of the population. So this is not just something that exists in Vancouver, it's everywhere. So to that end, we would like to talk to you also about our plans for future expansion, as well as very crucially, how we're gonna make money from this thing. So do come and talk to us if you have any questions about that, or just wanna know how this is pronounced, Coop. Thank you very much, we'll see you over there.
So we have a very efficient and effective presenters. I'm so amazed that it's 10 to 5, and we thought we would be going over, but that's okay. These guys have got it down. After this is it. This is the end of the showcase. Now you get to meet these fabulous students. You actually get to play with the things that they've built. You get to have a glass of wine or beer or soft drink or water and food. We have a barbecue out the back. For those of you who don't know where the hangar is, one of us will, I'm famous for yelling at people to get back there. I highly encourage you to come and find a faculty member, me, Dennis, Richard, anybody who can tell you more about what we do, who can introduce you to a student that you might want to hire, or can get you connected in other ways. We're always looking for partners, industry partners, anybody who wants to work with us. So come and find us, and we'll see you over there. Bye-bye.